welcome to Society's Bullshit. Today I'm going to talk about the BBW body fat double standard, and what I mean by that is simply society's ideal that fat girls are as beautiful as like skinny girls, and this being the first episode, I'm going to try to approach this somewhat gently, but I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And this is a real problem for me because, as you can see by the slideshow that's going on, there are several issues with this. And the main one being that fat girls, and I'm going to say fat because the whole BBW thing is bullshit. It's fat girls think that they are as beautiful or deserving of as much attention as skinny girls, and it's not the case. And there's this whole anti-fat movement going on where it's like body shaming and everything like that is frowned upon, and it's one of those areas where even if you tell children from a young age, which is what they're doing with the new curvy Barbies they're putting out, which by no means are those fat, but there is a picture of fat Barbie in here, and those same girls are not going to be happy until fat Barbie is a thing. And Ken, I guarantee you, they're going to want to keep him the same way, and that's where the fat double standard comes into play, which I'll get more at later. There is a fine line between what's pleasant to look at and what's not pleasant to look at, and as you can see by the images I selected for this, there's that margin where there's skinny and curvy, and that's fine, but once you get into whale-esque, bloated, nasty girls who don't care for themselves, they don't put any effort in, and instead of trying to better themselves by exercising or whatever, they complain and they force their ideals on society to the point where everyone starts to believe they're crap, including themselves, basically. And it's not even so much that society is believing they're crap, as they're believing their own bullshit, and they're kind of forcing it down our throats. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is things like, as you can see in the slideshow, the fat kini thing that's going on. That's not okay. Basically, there's girls out there who wear bikinis, and they're either curvy or skinny, and that's fine because they're pleasant to look at. But when you see, like, you know, fatty wearing a bikini, that's not alright. And they would complain the same way I am right now if men did that. That's where the double standard comes in, is they don't think it's okay for men to be anything other than tall, athletic, and built, basically. And they think that even if they're a gelatinous mountain of blubber, they can still attain a guy that's like that. And the thing is that we really don't want women that look like that, unless it's kind of a last ditch, you know, you've had a dry spell forever and why not fuck a war pig if you can, versus someone who's harder to get, or if you're on the same level as they are. And obesity in general is not okay, because it's not healthy for you, and that's really the main thing it comes down to, is in reality it's not healthy physically or mentally for the person being affected by it. And if they get this ego thing going on where they think they're hot shit and want to show it off to everybody else, that's punishment for the rest of us too, because then we have to deal with that. And that's also not okay. The slideshow I picked, it's kind of doing random order right now, but I had a set order at first, and I was going to talk about different things like the curvy Barbie and whatnot, but this is kind of throwing me off. As you can see, there's fat Barbie on the computer, and like I said before, my girlfriend and I were both really pissed off about the whole curvy Barbie thing when it first got brought up that they were going to put one out, because it's basically Mattel caving into society's pressure. And I mean, I don't care about Barbie. I've never played with Barbie, but she grew up with Barbie, and she's a skinny, pretty girl, and so she wants Barbie to be skinny and pretty. And so, I personally think it's disgusting that they put out a fat Barbie, which she was telling me it was fat Barbie at first, and I thought it was the one shown in the picture where she's like a bloated whale, which is not the case. She's more of like a healthy proportion, curvy Barbie, but my point being is that there are websites dedicated to this, and there's girls on there who are saying, oh, I wish she was fat, and they're not going to be happy until there's a bloated fat Barbie out there on the market who's with, you know, the muscular kin or whatever. And that's sending really the wrong idea to young girls, because well, mainly they're going to think they can just let themselves go and get whatever they want out of life, what is not the case. That's not the case at all, actually. And yeah, there are fat little girls out there, but get their butts on the treadmill. I mean, how hard is that? You're teaching them, if you don't have them start taking care of themselves, you're teaching them that it's okay to not be healthy, and you're a bad parent at that point. That's really what it comes down to. Because if you're teaching them it's okay to not be healthy physically, what else are you teaching them? Are you teaching them to be a bitch too? Because from my experience, most fat girls are also bitchy. And it's probably just because they don't get the attention they want. And I understand that when you're in that situation, there's either two paths you can take, where it's either you get overly aggressive and bitchy, or you get so depressed there's no recovering from it. And a lot of girls, what they do is they okay, so either you get extremely bitchy and get an over-exaggerated, over-inflated ego to compensate for that, or you get so depressed there's no recovering from it. And what most fat girls do is they can't handle the fact that they are in that window or in that category, and so they tend to overcompensate with their egos, thinking they're all hot shit, which they're not. One example is, a few years ago, I was on internet dating, and it was a pretty low point in my life, and I saw several girls calling themselves cute, or the term BBW, which is bullshit, because there is no BBW. It's either you're fat or you're not. Period. But anyways, they were calling themselves cute and BBWs, and most of them were fat, like that girl in the bikini I picked a picture of. And keep in mind that they're calling themselves basically beautiful, which is fine if you believe that of yourself, but keep in mind that hardly anybody else thinks that way of you. And you really just need to come to peace with that, unless you are willing to better yourself. And most fat girls aren't willing to better themselves, and that's where this whole feminist movement comes in with the body fat inequality thing. They'd rather bitch about men being bigots than getting to the gym and losing the weight. They'd rather eat a plate full of donuts, like this picture here, than eating a salad. And really, it's pretty sad, because they're, like I've mentioned it before, they're trying to force their ideas down our throats, and even though you're teaching your kids at a young age it's not okay to call somebody fat, or fat girls are beautiful too, it doesn't mean they're not thinking the opposite. Because the truth is that's what we're all thinking, whether it's voiced or not. And I'm not afraid to voice it, and there's a lot of other people out there who aren't afraid to voice it either, and we shouldn't be. Because when you get down to the fact of the matter of it, life isn't fair, and life is cruel, and if you can't deal with that, then that's your problem. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.